Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Ipswich Central Redevelopment Committee this 16th day of June 2022. I can see that all councillors are in attendance. Thank you. I will start with the welcome to country. Sorry, acknowledgement of country. Ipswich City Council respectfully acknowledges the traditional owners as custodians of the land upon which we meet. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging as the keepers of the traditions, cultures and stories of a proud people. Do we have any, are there any declarations of interest in matters on the agenda today? No? Nil business outstanding. So we'll move on to item number 1, which is confirmation of the minutes of the Ipswich Central Redevelopment Committee dated the 5th of May 2022. I will move that. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Milligan. Is there any discussion? No? We'll put that matter to the vote. All those in favour? Looking around the room, that's unanimous and carried. Thank you. Moving along to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the first of the officers' reports. And that is the Ipswich Central Revitalisation Better Block and Town Teams placemaking event. And the recommendation that the report be received and contents noted. Can I call on the relevant council officer, please? Would you please state your name and title?
Erin Marchant, Project Manager for Ipswich Central.
Thank you, Ms Marchant. I was just wondering if you can give us a little bit of a rundown, a snapshot, what Better Block and Town Teams do and what we might be able to achieve by this event in August. And just keeping in mind that economic development strategy was a hot item discussed today. So what this may contribute towards that strategy in Ipswich.
Sure. So obviously in November last year we endorsed the Ipswich Central Revitalisation project and the documents associated with that. As part of that project we had the Ipswich Central Partnership as a key contributor in our revitalisation. As we've worked with the Ipswich Central Partnership, we've come up with the opportunity to partner with town teams. Town teams work with groups like the Partnership and other community groups to actually help them with strategies and process and get them working in a more functional way from a community perspective. Luckily for us, Ipswich Central Partnership was the first town team in Queensland and the 90th town team in Australia to be been put into a town team movement. So through that, we've been working hard with them and getting some ideas, and we were approached through the town team movement to be part of this opportunity. Now, Better Block is an organisation out of Dallas, Texas, and what they do is they imagine public spaces in different ways. They work really hard with the communities of those public spaces, and usually their process lasts between 30, 60 or 90 days. In this instance, the event that we're going to be looking at doing is a thought leadership piece. The day is broken into 2 pieces. The first part is very much about more like a workshop summit style event. We'll hear from Krista, the town team executive director, and she'll talk about the processes and the challenges and how we can work around those. We'll also be working with town team movement, so Dean Cracknell will be on board as well, and he'll be talking about from the more of the community perspective. We're also having, as part of this event, Stephen Burgess from Complete Streets. He's a city shaper, a traffic engineer by trade, but also a master's in economics. So this brings it together as a rounded piece. We will also have Brooke Williams, who worked with us quite closely on this project. So the day is actually not just about learning from our perspective, but also sharing the learnings with other local governments, state governments, businesses, and the community. The second part of the day is very much about community. So we will actually get to do a hands-on piece where we're actually going to transform Darcy Doyle into what the community can imagine, basically. So we're taking a space which maybe is underutilised at the moment and turning it into something where the community can come and be involved and be active.
So I guess when we talk about the outcomes from the event, number 4 talked about advancing economic opportunities, working with local entrepreneurs to test out their concepts. So again, that will come out of the workshop, individuals from Ipswich, is that?
Yes. So what we will do is obviously the knowledge that's shared through the summit or workshop part of the event we'll actually be able to take into the event where we're doing the hands-on learning, and we're going to work with the local businesses. So a big part of the Ipswich Central Partnership is they are going to take a key role in working with the local businesses and getting them to come on board. So it might be in the essence of setting up a market or getting them to think about, hey, you only open between 9 and 2, but what could you do after hours, which might be something to try that you wouldn't normally do. So we want to not just limit it to Darcy Doyle, but we also want to include, top of town and the other areas in Ipswich Central that we can tie in. So there'll be, some creative wayfinding on the ground. There'll be different activities for kids to do, so bringing people out at night. The partnership group talking about a talent show at this point in time. So there's some other activities that people can come along to that maybe they wouldn't normally see in that space.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Thank you. I will move that the report be received and the contents noted. Could I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. I'll now open up for discussion. Any comments? Thank you, Mayor.
This is really exciting. I'd never actually heard of it, but did a fair bit of research. It's been very successful, and I think, as always said, we're a city of centres, so this is not just for the CBD, this could be Rosewood, Goodna,
Absolutely.
It's really, really quite exciting. Yeah, it'd be great.
No, I agree. And, just as an example, the top of town businesses have enormous appetite to do this kind of thing or any type of marketing to improve the trade and the footfall up there. So I know they'll be delighted by this piece of work. Okay, nothing else. We might put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Looking around the room, it's unanimous and carried. Moving on to item number 3, which is the Ipswich Central Revitalisation 6-monthly report. The Catalyst project identified in the iFuture corporate plan for 21 to 26. The report highlights the progress that has been made since the endorsement of the Ipswich Central Revitalisation documents and showcases key activities and case studies. Would anyone like to speak to the relevant council officer? No one want to talk to the relevant council officer? Okay, so I will move then that the report be received and the contents noted. Could I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Milligan. Open up for discussion. Thank you, Mayor.
If I may, Chair, it's an interesting report for not just the last 6 months, but there's some of the progress indicators there on page 31. Makes you realise how important that this development is. I mean, for 21 new businesses to open Ipswich Central since June 21 during COVID is quite phenomenal. So
absolutely.
It's a really good report. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. So to be able to track and monitor our success within the revitalisation project is fantastic, and it speaks for itself. My favourites, as you mentioned, the 21 new businesses within Ipswich Central. That's just brilliant. And the local business and community members that came together for the Working Bee within Bell Street. The Ipswich Central Partnerships Group have now become a very important stakeholder in helping us revitalise the CBD. And again, one of my favourites, the Facade Improvement Program, have a look at that, $752,000 worth of facade improvements that, you know, occurred throughout our CBD. Some of the buildings that were looking very tired have now been given a new lease on life, and, you know, helped to the overall, I guess, appearance and amenity of our CBD. And I would just like to call out the item number 5, prosperous. So within the report, it talked about the small business baked by Joseph and Anne. What a huge success story there. So, you know, noting that we adopted the food truck friendly council policy. You know, we learnt from that many individuals who may not have the capability, money or confidence to open up bricks and mortar straight away. This is a good step. And so this sort of, it's what happened with Baked by Joseph and Anne. Started the business as a part-time business only, but within 12 months they've expanded their footprint, given away their full-time jobs. And if you go into Baked on a Saturday morning, there is a huge queue. The hot bread during winter is just lovely. Okay, if there's nothing further, we'll put the matter to the vote. All those in favour, noting that's unanimous and carried. Moving on to item number 4 on the agenda, which is a report concerning the communications engagement and events activity undertaken and planned for the Nicholas Street Precinct in May 2022. Could I have the relevant council officer come forward, please? State your name. Thank you, Ms. Sutton. Can you tell me about May, what we had?
Oh my goodness, we had Dogfest.
So much.
We did. So Dogfest was the first time that we've delivered an event like this, and the turnout was absolutely amazing. We had competitions of best dressed and...
Councillor Jonick, I think, was a judge.
Thank you for the judging. Tough competition there. We had food trucks, we had workshops, and just all around it was a really great day. Everybody was really happy and positive, and something that we'd seek to do again in the future.
Yep, fantastic. As the events continue to occur down in the precinct, are you getting a sense of residents within Ipswich that wouldn't have visited the precinct before coming? How are we monitoring numbers and where those...
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely seeing increased visitation and trying to offer events that really do attract that multi-generational audience, you know, so they bring the kids, the grandmas with them. We do have people counters within the precinct as well, so we're able to monitor those numbers. And also in terms of our parking, we were able to monitor the interaction and the use of the car park.
Okay, fantastic. Because I know a strategy in the past has been to invite different school groups or dance troupes from different areas across Ipswich, not just Ipswich Central. So to try and drag in residents in the outer suburbs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll notice our new website as well. So we've really gone out there and tried to just make our presence much more aware. We have been delivering some targeted marketing strategies as well that go out to local industries, local business, and just really trying to cast that net a little bit wider in terms of what we're offering, what we've got, the infrastructure that we have in place, and the opportunities that we can provide to other event operators and visitors alike.
Okay, I know we've got lots of exciting events planned. Is there a big one that you can talk about?
I've got a few actually. Where do I start? So we've got the big school holiday activations that are upcoming. We have every single day a brand new headliner. We've got from Peppa Pig to Octonauts to Fireman Sam coming the school holidays. Every day is a new different show. We have a prehistoric dinosaur display of interactive creatures that have light and movement that will be created all around for school holidays as well. And then we have our new openings, our new store openings that I'm sure our other reports will talk to, but our stores are opening. We're seeing that precinct come to life.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Sutton? No? Thank you. I will move that the Nicholas Street Precinct Communications Engagement and Events Monthly Report be received and the contents noted. Could I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Milligan. I'll open up for discussion. Any comments? Thank you, Mayor.
If I could talk about the Dogfest, Chair, speaking of the organisers, they hadn't had such a big space. This was a larger space than they had in the past, and they hadn't had music before. We had live music and entertainment, and I believe it was a huge hit. And I think that's wherever they go, they'll look at sort of doing live music. But it was a huge day.
It was
great. And just knowing how big Bluey was, I'm just wondering with this little holidays, which is going to be the big one. Is it going to be Fireman Sam, Blinky Bill, Bob the Builder, Peppa Pig, Octonauts?
I'm so looking forward seeing that crowd down in Tulma Place when Bluey was here was just amazing, and it's what Tulma Place is about, and our civic space is about, bringing the community together. So, yes, agreed. No other discussion. We might put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? It's unanimous and carried. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, item 5, the report concerning May 2022 from the Retail Subcommittee Projects Steering Committee on the status of the leasing program and associated developments with the retail component of the Nicholas Street Precinct. I call in the relevant council officer, please. Would you please state your name and title?
James Hepburn, I'm chair of the Sub-Project Retail Steering Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn, and I do look forward to the day that I'm not calling on you for an update when they're all filled and it speaks for itself. But in the meantime, we have a couple on the cusp of opening, Gelatissimo and Terry White. We've got dates locked in for those?
We do indeed. As Karen alluded to, next week's going to be a big week for us, and we'll be opening Terry White on Monday. And they'll have a soft launch and then build into the week as sales pick up and the education of their customer base realise that they've moved from up Nicholas Street down onto the corner of what we call Metro and facing onto Tulma Place. And then later in the week we have a soft opening for Gelatissimo on the Friday afternoon evening, which is a moment in time for them to really start getting the machinery working, train their staff at that last point, and then just engage a few invited customers. And then on Saturday they open for earnest when they really launch with, I think, a number of free ice creams going out to the public to really start driving interest in their brand and back into the place. We're hopeful that we might be able to bring that dumpling to that weekend opening as well, but they've still got just a little bit of work to do internally, some electrics to finish off, and they also need to get their food licensing in place before next weekend. So it's really starting to hot up to be quite a momentous moment, I think, for the precinct.
We're all aware of the supply chain issues, the construction industry issues. Are you concerned about any of the leases that have been signed that they may not be able to deliver, on opening because of the fit-out hold-ups?
Not any of the ones that we've signed to date. If we think forwards, then we should be having 2 more handovers next week and the following week, and that'll be for the Zambrero tenancy and then also for Sushi Hayo. Zambrero, we know, are very similar to Gelatissimo, are a very large brand. They have quite a bit of buying power, and they'll be flying teams in from around Australia to go straight into delivery mode. Sushi Hayo are experienced in this place and have got a number of restaurants around southeast Queensland, and we're aware their fit-out contractor is known to most shopping centres.
Okay,
so I think as we then go over the next year, we're monitoring costs incredibly closely. As you mentioned, they've gone up some 20%, if not more, depending on what product you're talking about over the last 6 months. So it's something as a team we're tracking very closely and monitoring against the value of the deal.
Okay. What in the pipeline as far as leases that are with legal at the moment?
So we've got 5 in particular of the list in that table that have gone out for execution with the tenant. So we'd like to think coming into July we'll be able to call upon another special council meeting or align to a similar date like today and bring forwards a barber, a skin clinic, a nail bar, a Vietnamese and then all-day coffee offer. So I think what we're seeing now really is off the back of Gelatissimo, Terry White and the Zambrera announcements and the fact the product's finished, the hoardings are down, the rest are starting to really get the momentum and aim for execution so they can get in and start trading, which is really good news.
Okay. Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move the recommendation that the May Retail Sub-Project Steering Committee report be received and the contents noted. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Kunzelman. Now open it up for discussion. Thank you, Mayor.
Can we brag that we had the first ice cream at Gelatissimo on Monday?
The store is just so lovely. Gelatissimo have upgraded their brand, their facade, so this new store gets to showcase what Gelatissimo stores will look like. Yeah, so it's lovely.
And the owners, Lee and Vanessa, really lovely people. You know, they've done a terrific job there, and so I'm sure we'll get to know them well. But yeah, it's great, and obviously Bob said the Terry White Chemist as well. That opening on Monday. You know, it was interesting when we were there when the doors were opening, and there was some media there earlier this week. How many locals were coming along to have a look. Everyone's very excited. Everyone was sort of really can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, and you know, I'm really pleased for Vanessa and Lee. They are a lovely young couple, but equally so happy for Bob. There's an image of he and I inside the chemist, and he is just so happy, and that picture speaks volumes for me. 43 years committed to our CBD, and he has endured so much. So I'm delighted that he's one of the first to open down in the refreshed precinct. Okay, if there's nothing further, put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Noting that's unanimous and carried. We have no notices of motion and nil matters arising. And I declare the meeting closed, 2:01 p.m. Thank you.